asked us to be on their board. And he said, do you need to make that a committee that we're on? Because we do need to have that connection between. So he said one or two.
Last Thursday, but the Thursday before, and then they want to make things more uniform across the district. And I know RTI is looking at art classes, but South doesn't have
them. Art or arts? North Boston's art. Well, no, we have it. We lost it. They're trying to say our MAPS accelerator is math intervention, which, yeah, computer program.
But you only have so many slots. How can you say that that's all of math intervention?
We actually have almost every kid covered.
So see, we don't.
But it's still like getting those kids to do it. You don't try and get that one-on-one type.
No. I have better luck with Math Accelerated than I do with Math.
Oh yeah.
I have 2 7th grade math labs, 1 6th grade math labs, 7th math center.
Oh, okay.
I had no training whatsoever.
Yeah, so, yeah, I know. Don't you like MAPS Accelerator? It's more user-friendly.
Oh, my kids love Math Accelerator, yeah. But I like Khan anyway. So,
yeah.
And they're associated with Khan, so.
Work in Mafia just
well, okay, so there's no key, so you don't know what you're doing.
This is my mom and dad. This is
Oh,
Travis.
nice!
This is my dad.
Nice to meet you. I'm Deb Daly. So, thank you. Wonderful young man here. So I had the pleasure of being at North with him. So, yeah, now I'm a ways away.
You're at East, right?
No, actually, South. Yeah. I was at East in between North and Middle. It's been a wonderful Tuesday. How about you? It's been oh, good. You get surrounded there.
I brought math with me now.
Oh, I'm impressed. I saw that part of it. I didn't see the other side. So, yeah, what did you teach it? I actually worked with special ed at North. Yeah. So, because I'd been bouncing around a little bit. In kindergarten at General Beal. So, but I went back to middle school. Where are you at? That's why you look so familiar. Okay. See your name. I used to be at Invocation. I taught at Promethean.
I believe I have.
And then went to General Beal when they put you to it. 21 years special ed, 5 years alternative, 7 that's what they usually say, is put your feet up like soap operas and you'll run lines. So you're letting somebody else have a soap opera. Great.
I could just say item J if you want.
I did give you that, and they had to redo that. So, and that wasn't my goal, but, and then I went back. Do you guys want one?
I'll get one.
I was
Give
gonna
us
say,
my dad.
well, that's, I was just turned around asking. I just dropped my pen. Okay, so I don't know if I'm speaking or not. Basket.
We're doing above and beyond, so staff and people that go above and beyond, we give $50.
Oh,
Have you gone above and beyond?
never. I bet you would have been there before. Maybe.
I was very
So cute. We had a PAC meeting last week, and so that's, we were in that time. I was gonna say, I don't remember seeing you.
Yeah, my husband had
Oh, no.
start ever in the
Gosh, yeah. And we were gonna try to put a grant in, or a grant request in. What's the deadline today? Oh, well, that's good. So I guess we won't be going for the spring one. We wanted to do some stuff with trying to get the OSCUs.
Oh.
So, but I free, about 2 weeks ago, and then we were gonna meet again, we just haven't been able to get together, and we're looking at, I wanted to do like a speaker series, but I don't know if, well, because how do you do like a gratuity thing? So I didn't know on that, and so that's kind of where my head was. So, because I know Indian Ed right now is paying some of that, but I don't know what they're paying. We'll have our ducks in a row in October. No, I actually got, years ago, I got one of the largest grants. It all went out to East. So, yeah, so that's okay. Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Okay, so I gotta look.
You can help me today. Okay, we're doing 40. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm just going to see. Sorry.
Do a couple of comments. How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, I know, yeah. 460 says.
I think it's
That's better. They always putting this in the car and I'm like, it's like, what I'm doing is just that's somebody else. Sure. So what I'm gonna do, we'll go up there.
But I will send her a list when I get home.
It's not that, I just, oh yeah, we give them back, right, and then. Are we? Okay, okay. I thought we just gave it back out.
We do, I guess that's not. Yeah, well, that's.
No, yeah, it doesn't matter, we don't have to do it now, you know what I mean? I won't. No, but the winner says.
Did you actually put your garbage in there first? That's my. I'm just thinking that. Lucky she was.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And then you can take the other ones with you, and then I'm gonna tell her. So she knows. Yeah. We're gonna draw and just say the name out loud, and then I'll do this tomorrow. Is that okay? And keep the cards. You wanna write? You normally write as you go. Just so I can. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. But we can do it quickly, I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I don't think they had it in there.
Yeah. They had it turned into an office.
Well, I was laughing because I went to the other one. But it was like literally like.
Oh, it's very exciting.
And then
At least like 5 or just like
Are you gonna say anything different than me? Oh yeah. Is that? You took my idea. I should be able to say it. How are you guys doing?
I'm just gonna do sour. You guys last year we got up to it's like the original sour thing going by. It's still all. I don't know how many of them are aware.
It's right around the corner. Oh, good deal. Yeah. Sure, that's great. Right now, just stop track. You know what I mean?
Okay. No. think there's a lot of it. Five minutes each. It's only 5 minutes over. All right, I'm going to bring this March 1st, 2022 Board of Education meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Kate Thomas,
Here.
Gabe Doney,
Here.
Jim Hansen,
Present.
Amy Polisky,
Here.
Clay Klom is absent with notice, Deb Baker,
Here.
Troy Carr,
I'm here.
Abby Rutan,
Here.
and Hayden Betts.
Here.
All right, we have Pastor Craig Moore here tonight. Would you come up for the invocation, please?
Let's pray. Dear Lord, I thank you for your direction and your guidance. I thank you, Lord, for the Holy Spirit's presence. May your presence fill this room, fill these people, our hearts and our minds. Bless our students and their families. May they excel and succeed in learning the things, Lord, that will prepare them to be successful in their lives. Lord, I pray you'll bless the administrators who lead our teachers and make such crucial decisions. I ask that you'll give them wisdom and guidance, creativity and courage to always do the right things. Lord, I pray that you'll bless our principals, the assistants, and all the teachers and support staff. Pray that you'll let them have a positive influence in the lives of our students. Lord, give them wisdom, strength, courage, creativity, love, and grace as they deal with students and the challenges that they face. Help them to see the rewards greater than any of their frustrations. Lord, I pray that you'll bless the school board members. Give all of us that are here, Lord, your presence and your spirit. Give them wisdom as they make difficult decisions. Help them be led by your Spirit to know what to do. Lord, give them strength, courage, creativity, perseverance, grace, and a spirit of cooperation to accomplish the greatest possible outcomes. Lord, we desire that Rapid City Schools would be the best schools in South Dakota, and we proclaim and declare that outcome. We ask, God, that South Dakota schools would be the best in the nation. Lord, would you put that in place? Let it be so. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much. All right, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Okay, moving on to the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Gabe and
Second.
Deb.
Nope.
All right, we have, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, on to persons wishing to address the board. We have 7 So to keep it at 30 minutes or under, we need a vote to have it move to 4 minutes each instead of 5.
So moved.
Jim and Gabe seconded that. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, first speaker, Eric Ketterling.
Good evening, Board President Thomas and fellow board representatives. My name is Mr. Kettering. I teach at North Middle School. I've been in Rapid City schools for about 9 years. This is my 8th official year as a seasoned teacher. The topic I'm about to speak on has been attempted to be addressed at the district level, and we are now past that. Therefore, I am in the right to speak about this topic that does affect staff tonight. I spoke to the board about my topic for tonight back in the fall of 2020. Since many board positions have been replaced since then, I feel it important to speak again today. I'm here on behalf of myself and several hundred classroom teachers in our district who are affected by what I'm about to speak about. As you see by this chart, this is what's been posted on the school district website for many, many years already, several years as I can count on, more than I can count on one hand. And it was just recently pulled sometime in February. My coworker actually took a screenshot of it on January 29th, which is interesting because this was actually changed by an MOU earlier this school year, so not sure why it was still advertised to prospective employees. In spring of 2016, this is when the salary schedule came to be. It was put into place where teachers start at $40,000 on their first year and receive a $1,000 increase their first 2 years, followed by a $2,000 increase each subsequent year until they top out at $50,000 after a 6th year of teaching. This was posted on the school website, as I said before, but it's since been pulled down. In 2018, though, it was wrongfully changed to a hiring schedule rather than a salary schedule without anyone's approval, not with the teacher's approval. And for new hires and others coming to the district, they still get placed where they're supposed to be. So, for example, I should be currently at $50K. I'm at $46,560 for my salary. I'm the black line on this chart, and you can see the orange line is any employees that are hired at any given point in time. For example, there's teachers on this poster that are in like their 5th year of employment. Like, let's say they come from Sioux Falls, they get hired in on their 5th year of employment. Our district places them higher than I am currently on my 8th official year of employment with this district. So there's a huge mistreatment of your current employees by this. Also, there's even newer teachers who are only at $40,560 and they've already been teaching for, this is their 4th year and they've been frozen that long. It's unacceptable. This actually has very little to do with new hires making proper wage with the hiring schedule. I think new hires do deserve that wage, but we only care about the proper placement. An 8th year teacher should not be making less than a 5th year teacher. The new MOU, which is presently preventing new hires from jumping over current hires, is not a solution to our problem at all. It's worse. It shows that the glass ceiling is getting even lower. Those who have already jumped over us as current teachers will stay ahead of us indefinitely, even though they have less experience. Failing to keep the salary schedule has caused Rapid City to fall 0.5% behind the Blue Ribbon Task Force requirement of average teacher compensation. If this stays in place this year, this policy, the district may end up in violation of this state policy and face some defunding from state funds. In order to correct our steps on this salary schedule, which is now somehow a hiring schedule, it would take about $1 million. This is a drop in the bucket compared to the $15 million loan and reallocation of another $5 million for the South Middle School Construction Fund.
Excuse me, that's time.
Thank you.
Yep. Next speaker, Iris Ann.
Hello. As the last time I was here, I was speaking about the transgender bathroom policy. I forgot to mention that the last time I saw a policy was written was 3 years ago. And my principal basically told me I was breaking a policy that doesn't exist. So I also had the question of why I still can't use the women's bathroom. Is it because on my birth certificate it hasn't changed yet, or if I haven't started taking hormones? But I'm still taking the precautions of, yes, some people might not be comfortable with me in the women's bathroom, but yeah. Also, I was accommodated with an elevator key, but I don't think that very much solves the problem, because if there are multiple transgender people after me of the years to come, how does everybody get an elevator key? They also cost $5, and it took me 2 weeks to get $5. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention again, and those were my points. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Peyton Swallow.
So me and Erica, or Adriana, will actually be going together. Okay, so we're here to talk about the importance of the Lakota language. It has to do with Topic 9 and the NIEA. So I just want to start with saying that one of my first points is that it's really important to have the Lakota language in schools and in the program that they want to implement for kids who don't have a traditional background at home. So like me, I don't have a traditional speaker in my house or in my family at the moment. And so being able to go to school and learn that, and then having the after-school program, because at Central we do have one, it's really important. So I've learned a lot, and it provides a connection to who we are and our culture, and it's really important for kids, especially who are younger, who feel out of place at school possibly, or who feel like they don't belong. And so having that connection and learning the language is super important for their identity and who they are.
I think you got 3 more minutes.
I think she pretty much explained it, but yes, I think it's really important for Native American kids to have a sense and know their background, even if they didn't come from traditional households. That doesn't make us any less Native American, or just anyone who wants to learn the language, because it is a dying language, and I think it would be really cool if like a lot of other people learned it. Yeah,
and then also just to kind of touch on how like meaningful and heartfelt our Lakota language is. So learning the language is like the predominant, like most important part to tying into everything else in all of our traditions and our practices and everything, like our ceremonies. Being able to learn that when you go into those things later on, or it allows you to understand kind of what's going on and to feel like you understand what all your relatives are doing. And so it's really, really valuable and really important. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Next speaker is Anna Young. Did you both just went together? Sorry, I thought your name was Angel. Okay, thank you. Next is Forrest Cooper.
Hello, Board. I appreciated Sarah Gross's presentation last meeting of the list of her top 9 things that are irritating her. I was sorely disappointed that time ran out before she gave her number 1 irritation. This week, I guess she's not here, but I would have liked to have heard her top irritation on the list, her big kahuna, her number 1. I think the board made a mistake by not giving her an emergency grant of extra time. This would have avoided board and audience frustration. Many of us have been in a state of continual curiosity since then, so I hope Sarah gets a chance to give her number 1 irritation. Seriously, we hear complaints that teachers and staff are being unfairly criticized. Since I've been paying attention to the Rapid City area schools, it's been overwhelmingly obvious how many superb, hardworking, and talented teachers we have in Rapid City, and I salute you. But there's been a legitimate criticism of some things being presented to our students. There have been ideologies that are reprehensible to most Rapid City parents and citizens. These ideologies have been intertwined with proper education. The 15% of teachers and administrators that are responsible are bringing down criticism on all. The 85% of good, great teachers should clean their educational house, and the criticism will evaporate. I challenge RCAS teachers to identify when indoctrination has crept into education and not allow politics to interfere with learning. One ideological manifestation is bringing cultural teaching into the classroom. While very politically correct, with big money coming from Washington to advance an agenda, it harms our children. When students leave our school system and enter the world of adults, they will run smack dab into the real world. The real world may give lip service to cultural awareness, but it surely won't give a paycheck for it. We do tremendous damage to our students, especially our disadvantaged students, by reducing their normal advancement in reading comprehension, mathematical facility, and critical communication skills. There is a valuable time and place for cultural education, which is very important, but it's not in the public schools.
Thank you. Michael Berkland?
All right. Hello. Thank you for giving me this time. I first want to address what was just said there and thank the young ladies for who speaking their mind and speaking their truth. And it has been shown repeatedly that culture is so important in public schools, that when students see themselves in curriculum and see themselves in their teaching, that they achieve. So that was kind of the main thing that I wanted to talk about tonight. Was I do hope this board approves the Lakota language grant application, because if we want reading and math and writing, all those things start with students seeing themselves in our schools. The other things I wanted to talk about tonight were actually also touched on by some others. I also wanted to remind everyone that I was also leapfrogged, and that was part of why I left the district. I do, as Eric mentioned, I'm glad that we're not hiring people at a higher level than those already in our district, but that on its own does not solve the issue. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch on was I did just want to thank the board for the meeting last night. I think that meeting was well ran, and I like the fact that we were consulting experts and we did the best with what we could. So thank you for that. But most importantly, please, 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 all of the MOUs tonight, the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the Lakota language, all of them are very important to our students. But in particular, it is super important for our students to see their culture reflected in their learning. Thank you.
Thank you. And last speaker, Andrew Belsas. Did I say that last name right?
You did. Yep. Good evening, board. I mostly want to echo what was said. What I really appreciated about last night's meeting was the moving of persons wishing to address the board to after the expert got to speak. I thought that was really smart, and I hope that's incorporated in future meetings when similar agenda items pop up. I also appreciated that that expert stayed through the meeting and then was able to respond to the speakers. So I also really enjoyed last night's meeting. I thought it was well ran. And then also would like to speak to item agenda J, the Living Language Grant. I think it's incredibly important for our community and our students. I know at Central High School with our Lakota language program and our students, it's not a classroom for them, it's a second home. And it keeps a lot of them in school. It really does, them finding each other and them finding a sense of purpose in their education. So I encourage you to pass all the MOUs today, and I thank you for last night's board meeting.
Thank you. All right. On to sharing of the success. Dr. Simon.
Well, good evening, Board. It is truly my pleasure to introduce Meredith Wald to you. Meredith is a K-1 combo teacher at Black Hawk Elementary, and she has been a teacher for 10 years in our district, and her entire time has been at Black Hawk. Recently, Meredith was one of 2 teachers in South Dakota awarded the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. This is the highest honor bestowed by the U.S. government specifically for K-12 science, technology, engineering, mathematics, or computer science teaching. And awards are given to teachers across the United States. The award recognizes those teachers that have both deep content knowledge of the subjects they teach and the ability to motivate and enable students to be successful in those areas. Please join me in congratulating Meredith. And I would like to invite Meredith to share a few words, and then we're going to take a quick picture with the board.
I just wanted to say quickly, I appreciate the recognition. And while my name is on the certificate, it's really a direct reflection of both my staff at Black Hawk and the staff here. So I'm greatly, greatly appreciative towards everybody. Thank you.
We're going to step up in front here. I would like to invite the board to come down in front of the dais and take a picture with us.
Okay, well, under sharing the success is the RCPSF, Above and Beyond as well. Who's that? There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Is it okay if we do it here? Okay. We added an extra round of the Above and Beyond program this year in recognition of all of the RCA staff who's gone above and beyond in a particularly difficult year. And for those of you that don't know what the Above and Beyond program, it's part of our mission at the Rapid City Public School Foundation, which is a nonprofit foundation, to recognize and inspire those who guide student learning through community support for education. And we had over 260 entrants. They filled out an Above and Beyond card with their name and why they've gone above and beyond. And then we're going to draw 40 cards tonight, and each teacher or staff member will receive a $50 check in recognition. So I think it's a really good meeting to support teachers and staff. So we'll start. Okay. And this is Deb Frederick. She's going to draw. Bree Annady at Robbinsdale. Shelley Peterson, who is a secretary at Jefferson. Hunter Petit, who's a custodian at Stevens High School. Bob Julius, who's a math teacher at Stevens High School. Julie Stone Cipher, who teaches at West Middle School. Lindsay McCann, who teaches at Horseman. Tara King, also a teacher at Horseman. Dylan Wassenberger, who's a teacher at Stevens High School. Misty O'Connor, who is a parapro at Valley View. Nicole Swagart, who is at Rapid City High School. Mr. Knowles at Southwest Middle School. So we'll have to get that to the right place, right? Because there's two. Matthew Figueroa at West Middle School. He's an ELA teacher. Tyson Karn at West Middle School, the athletic director. Corey Tomerick, he's a title teacher. Elizabeth Rise at Valley View, she's a counselor. Laura DeRuyter at Rapid Valley Elementary, and she's a kindergarten teacher. Joe Dwyer from Stevens, she works in the library. Holly Hoffman, who's the vice principal at Knollwood. Lisa Armour from Corral Drive, she's a secretary. Teresa Keller at Knollwood. James Harvey at West Middle School, he's a substitute teacher. There's three. Michael Borberly at Canyon Lake, he's a special education teacher. Kirk Guyman at Rapid City Stevens, he's a math teacher. Sarah Steiger from Valley View, second grade. Connie Ahrens at Knollwood, as a math coach. Lindsay McCann at Horseman, third grade. Shirley, how many do we have? Okay. Christina Henry, she's the Knollwood principal. Nikki Cruz, a security person at Stevens. Nancy Duranlo at Stevens, she's a teacher. Cody Van Rosendale at Stevens. Shelby Schrum is a Robbinsdale Elementary teacher. Christina Smiley is a parapro, Rapid City High School. Kelly Banning is a South Canyon teacher. Tara Lipp, Knollwood Special Education. Shannon Frankie from Stevens High School Custodial Services. Diana Beschnagel is a substitute teacher. Sheila Reber at Stevens, she's a secretary. Daniel Gandino at Valley View Elementary, second grade teacher. Bree Woods from Stevens, a security officer. That's the last one? Okay. Oh, one more? Okay, Royce Wurtson from Stevens is also a substitute teacher. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the student representatives. We have A.B. Rutan up first. Abby from Rapid City High School.
Thank you. Rapid City High School is proud to be sponsoring our biannual blood drive next Friday, March 11th. Following our fall blood drive earlier this year, Rapid City High School was recognized nationally for the number of first-time donors we were able to sign up. We invite you, the board members and senior leadership team, to participate in our blood drive. I have already provided an informational flyer with sign-up information. Ymca Daycare at Rapid City High School. Rapid City High School houses many wraparound services to support the learners of our district. I will be taking a moment in my reports to highlight these services from time to time. One of those services is the Ymca Jumpstart program. This program is a full-service center for teen parents and their children, providing a safe and caring environment for children 6 weeks to 4 years old. The Ymca Jumpstart program is open to high school-aged parents currently attending classes at Central, Stevens, or Rapid City High School, including the GED program. This free service is life-changing for many of our learners. I would like to publicly thank Denise Ottenbacher and her team for all their dedication and support of our families. Thank you, Denise. Each semester, schools across the district prepare for the worst-case scenario, Rapid City High School is getting ready for their building-wide ALICE drill. This week on Friday, every learner will be reviewing the letters of ALICE with their advisor: alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. Next week, the entire building will put these letters to the test in an ALICE drill. Learners and staff will participate barricading doors, running through scenarios, and clarifying plans. This is a time of empowering learners and staff with knowledge on what to do in a critical situation. Free prom dress drive event. Rapid City High School has hosted for many years the All Cinderellas Go to Prom event. This event has been an opportunity for area learners to receive free prom dresses. This year, we are excited to announce our partnership with Hippie Haven on St. Joseph Street in downtown Rapid City. This partnership allows for expanded hours over several weeks, allowing more learners to view and select dresses. From February 28th through April 23rd, any learner from the Black Hills area can visit Hippie Haven to find a free prom dress. Rapid City High School will continue to be a year-round donation site for prom dresses. In closing, I will remind you of our school-wide expectations at Rapid High. Be respectful, be present, be courageous. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. I actually have a couple questions on the prom dress. So it starts today, that from here until April 23rd. Do they have to show their ID card when they come in? Do you know?
No, I think they just have to tell them what school they're from. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And on to Hayden Bentz from Stevens High School.
Thank you, President Thomas. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, my name is Hayden Bentz, and I'm the student representative to the Board of Education from Stevens High School. On March 8th, juniors will take the ACT. For the first time ever, every junior will take the test at Stevens High School, offering a head start to the juniors who will soon be preparing for a transition to college. Good luck to all of those taking it. I'm sure they're really looking forward to it. Students in the Health Services pathway will attend Scrubs Camp at Black Hills State University on March 14th. Scrubs Camp is a one-day hands-on experience where attendees will rub elbows with professionals who are currently working in the healthcare field. Students will learn what it's like to arrive at the scene of an emergency, reacting with how to deal with the stresses that often accompany the profession. It is a fantastic opportunity, and a big thanks to BHSU for making it possible. March is Music in the Schools Month, and as such, Stevens will feature many fine arts performances. On March 7th, there will be a choir concert at 7 p.m. in the Stevens Auditorium. Additionally, the Stevens Band will have their Pops concert on March 10th, also in the auditorium at 7. Lastly, on March 14th, the 9th grade honor band concert will be taking place at Central High School, with top performers from both Stevens and Central combining for a great performance. It is a busy time for Stevens athletics. Over the weekend, the Stevens wrestling team finished runner-up in the state wrestling tournament in Sioux Falls, with Stevens having 3 individual state championships in their respective weight classes. Logan Graff at 126 pounds, Corder Doney at 152, and Riley Benson at 160. Congratulations to not only those individuals, but the team as a whole for a great season. It is a phenomenal achievement. Additionally, both the Stevens girls and boys basketball teams will be playing in a SODAC 16 game this Friday, with the boys traveling to Mitchell and the girls hosting Brookings at Stevens. The games will offer a chance for a spot in the state tournament. The boys' AA tournament will be held in Sioux Falls in the Denny Sanford Premier Center, and the girls will take place here at the Ice Arena in the Monument. I unfortunately have nothing bad to say about Central today, even though Colton couldn't even call me on it today. I'm sure Mr. Belsauce would, though. So I'll simply end by saying thank you for listening, and go Raiders.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hayden. All right, so Colton is gone tonight, so we will not hear his rhetoric back. Conflict of interest, no one has turned any of the conflict of interest waivers in. So on to the approval of the consent agenda. Does anybody want anything pulled?
Pulled. I just had a question on I. Can you clarify, did we not vote on this 4-3?
So quickly for clarification, yes, we did, but it always goes through 2 readings.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Jim and Gabe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay. On to number 10, the Special Board of Education boundary redistricting map that we went over last night. I need a motion and second.
So moved.
Jim and Deb? Any discussion? We had quite a bit of discussion last night. There was one question that I had on the very top of Area 7. There were 2 maybe squares that weren't put into the map. I still haven't heard back from Sarah or the demographer if that was supposed to be in there or not, and we will fix that if it is still a mistake. We'll put it back in. We'll just bring the map back and say, oops, forgot to put that in. As of right now, the map that you see up online is what it is. Any other comments from board members? Okay. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So passes. All right. There are no first readings of policies and procedures, so on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. Director Talley, due to an emergency, wasn't able to be here tonight. We do have Nicole Schweigert with us, and I am going to ask her to step up to the podium in the case that board members have any questions. I just want to quickly inform the board, though, that this MOU is a re-up of an MOU that we have had in place, and really what it allows us to do is better partner with One Heart to best support our growing population of homeless students. Every time I meet with Director Talley, that number has gone up this year. In fact, I think we may be at an all-time high. At last count, 629 of our students were homeless. That's 5% of our student body. And so this partnership really does allow us to partner together with them as they support families so that we can better support students in our schools. Thank you. And answer any further questions. Sorry about that.
Are there any questions from the board? I know I had a couple from last week. It just, the way it had been written, I had some clarifying questions, and so it got a little bit tweaked, and I think it's a lot more clear now who we're actually serving and who we're partnering with, and looks great to me. So I don't have any actual questions, just that statement.
We are at 650 homeless identified students as of Monday, and that is a record high at this time of year. We will continue identifying until the end of May, so it is very likely that we will exceed 800 students by the end of this school year.
Okay, that is not good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board? Okay, moving on to Shane Daniel for a technology update.
Hope the technology works, so. All right, thank you, Madam President and the board. I am going to give a brief update of just the state of the district, just what we have for technology in the classrooms with our staff devices, the network. I'm going to spend some time talking about the classroom display replacement project, you know, the Promethean boards with the active panels, which is probably the biggest thing that we're looking at right now, and then a couple projects that are coming up. So we'll get right into this here. And then I also printed a copy for you guys to have as well. So I apologize for those of you that might know what all these things are. I thought it'd be good just to have a visual of what when I'm talking about these things, like what an access point is, a switch, a wall mount rack, and what an example of good cabling looks like. Right now, we currently have around 1,160 access points in the district. So every classroom, every shared learning space has an access point. They're 3 to 6 years old. We don't see us starting to replace those in any large number until 2027. Cabling, all of the classrooms have been cable and updated. We've been working on some fiber upgrades between the internal closets. The biggest projects for that were completed at the high schools last summer. We have 450 switches. They're 3 to 6 years old. Kind of the same time frame on those, another, till 2027. We also have licensing coming up for the switches next year, so we don't plan on doing any major cabinet installations the following year. We do have some cabinet work that we're going to do this summer that was through E-rate. And one thing I want to mention about these things I just talked about, anything with internet connectivity, we get a discount from the government for the E-rate piece, and that's based on our free and reduced lunch plan. So, for example, we go through a process and we put RFPs out, and then we get an accepted bid. And once the work is done, we submit this to the E-rate place, and they will credit us back. Usually it's been 60% since I've been here. So in these switches, we probably have $1.5 million into these switches, and then we'll get a credit back for 60% of that. The student devices that we currently have in use, we have Chromebooks for K-8 and then a Windows machine for our high school. The form factor is really the same. It's flip over, it's touch, it's the same manufacturer. Our computer labs have these desktops we purchased like 3 years ago. They're a higher end machine, a solid state drive, a standalone video card. These monitors, this is what most of our computer labs are set up, and it might look a little odd, but the reason we do it this way is the vertical monitor. The kids put their textbooks on there, and they can read it, and then they do their work on the horizontal. So, and these are 18.5-inch widescreen monitors. 2 years ago, we put Mac Labs in, and that was purchased with a matching grant from the state, and that Stevens and Central each have one of those. And we have quite a few iPads in the district with our title schools. And this is kind of a rehash of what we have in the different areas. Where the Chromebooks, this is the first year that we've used those in K-8. They've been really well received. We haven't had too many issues with them. The high schools, they're on year 2 right now with the high school devices. And the iPads and the computer labs and the Mac labs we replace those as needed. So, on the staff device side, most of our staff have an HP ProBook. We are in the middle of assigning ProBooks to our teachers. We ordered those over a year ago, and we just got them in November. So we're putting those out right now. So that's been a crazy time. So the docks, the slimline dock is what the old style was, and the new style is going to be this USB-C dock. And then this is a lot of the teachers are using these older style monitors. Our clerical or admin, they're all using these Elite displays, a little bit bigger monitor. And I'll talk more about that in this slide. This gives a representation of the size difference between the 18.5-inch and the 23.5-inch. What we're planning on doing for this summer is to get a newer style monitor for each of our teaching staff. And one of the reasons, plus it's just time, and these monitors are 10, 12 years old, and they spend a lot of time on them. And the newer style dock works better with these because our older style monitors just have a VGA connection and nothing else. So I don't think we're going to replace the labs with anything next year, because if we did, we would have to go to a single monitor because of the spacing. The dual monitors, the way it's set now, that's about all you can fit in there. Okay, next thing. So here's just a count of the devices that we have in our inventory. You have a copy of it there, and then we also have miscellaneous printers, copiers, that kind of thing also. So the printers, when we started on a managed print service project, we had about 700 printers, and we're down to 479. We're trying to get that number under 300. And what we do is, as these printers break, we look at the usage and the location, and then a lot of times we'll buy a newer model where the cost per page is less and pull out some other printers. And it's kind of an art and a science, you know, 'cause when someone's used to having a printer in their room and you take it out and you got to have discussions about it, but we're trying to get to just a more manageable level of the number of printers we have. To give you an idea of the amount of network traffic that we have on a daily basis, so we have about 6,500 gigs of data that go through our network every day. And so that's the equivalent of 6,500 hours of TV or 420 million pages of a Word doc. And no, they're not watching TV all day for that, but it's a lot of data. So, so the classroom display piece, I'm going to try to spend a little more time on this and get into some detail. So our Promethean boards that we have in the district right now, the district started purchasing these in 2005. And most of them are purchased early on, and then like every year they added a few more, and then 2012 was like the last few that were put in. Since I've been here, I think I've been here 7 years. 5 years in, we started having to buy parts online, like on eBay, because they discontinued the support on them because they're so old. But they still function, it just was harder to keep them up and going. The new boards that we're looking at moving to, it's called a Promethean Active Panel. It's all touch, you don't need a special stylus. You can connect wirelessly or just through like a standard HDMI cable or a USB-C port or a VGA. And it also can operate on its own. It's got an internet. It's got an internet-capable browser. It'll work with Google and OneDrive. You can also download apps on it. And we have about 100 of these panels in the district. They were purchased a couple years ago, and so we've had them in use for a while. So the reason we're talking about moving from these active boards to the active panels is that the boards are really at the end of their life. The support side, it creates just a lot of support issues, and with the new computers, what we found is they randomly lock up when you try to use the touch functionality. So they really truly are at the end of their life. I mean, there's not much else we can do with them. Also, the operational costs on these boards, they require a projector, and so our projector replacement plan that we've done for probably 5 years, we have probably 60% of our projectors have bulbs, and we've been moving to bulbless. And the reason being is they're way less maintenance, they're brighter, they use less power, and we used to get those for $650. And with the issue now is the cheapest we can find these is a couple thousand. So the prices just went through the roof on them. The useful life on the projector is about 20,000 hours. The active panels are on a 50,000 hour life cycle. And just to give you, if you turn this board on every day during class, it would be 30 years of life is what they're saying. Trying to think of anything else on these. The contrast ratio is much different, like the projectors there. You have to have the blinds closed sometimes. You know, if you look at even just the projector up here now, it just doesn't have as much contrast and brightness. So the cost piece on this, so we've been getting, we have quotes from vendors on this, and it ends up being about $2,800 a classroom. It's going to vary a little bit based upon the type of stand and if it's well mounted or not. So the cost overall for this with it's going to be probably close to 2.1 to 2.2 million for the equipment piece on the classroom side. Director Sassy and I have met with a couple of vendors to talk about the leasing piece and how to pay for this. And that was the first conversation before we even started talking about whether or not we could do this, whether or not we could afford it. And we're looking at either a 4 or a 6 year lease, depending on what the final number comes in on. And that dollar amount will come in probably in the next meeting. We'll have more information on that for you. The final items that I want to talk a little bit about, we're going to change over to multi-factor authentication for our email. We're having a lot of phishing emails going on right now, and so any staff member that has a district-issued phone is going to be, we're going to set them up with that, and that's going to happen in the IT department initially, and then we'll do it with the rest of staff. We're also looking at removing local admin rights for staff computers. Sorry, I'm a little sick, so my voice is really hoarse right now. And what that means basically is if there's a piece of software that a staff member needs installed, we would just have to do it for them, or take their or grant them access rights to be able to do it on their own. At the high school level, we want to, the high school student machines, they're going to be in use for a couple more years. We want to talk to the high schools about maybe looking at the Chromebooks versus the Windows machines, and there are a few reasons for that. One of them is cost. A Chromebook is about 50% cheaper than a Windows machine, and it's also battery life was longer, and there's some trade-offs with functionality also. So, and then we also want to talk about BYOD, if we want to keep doing that or not for the schools, and there's some challenges with that from a teacher perspective on classroom management. They don't have as much access to what a student's doing when they're on their own machine versus a school machine. So that's kind of the update in a nutshell. I'm sure you guys have questions on certain things. So
Go ahead, board members. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say thank you for keeping on top of everything. I'm sure the last couple of years have been challenging, and technology always continues to prove challenging, but thank you for what your department has done to help our students have access to everything they need to.
yeah, and on that note, I'd want to acknowledge like just the teachers and stuff, because I remember it was like 18 months ago we did an update, and everyone was scrambling to get everything to work, and the teaching staff and stuff really stepped up, because it was hard for everybody just to make it all work. So
I got an email with some questions from a teacher that I forwarded to you, and maybe you can help me answer some of those, or maybe next time this is brought up.
Okay.
There was quite a few, so I don't want to go through them all right now.
yeah, did you just? I haven't seen it yet. So.
Yep, I just forwarded
perfect.
it to you.
Yep, perfect.
Anybody else? Okay.
All right.
Yep,
Sorry,
thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Simon or Shirley, I have up online the agenda, which then says, I believe Kumar would be talking about the capital outlay summer projects, but that's not on this agenda that I have in front of me. Okay. Moved? Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure. All right. Dr. Simon, the Superintendent Report.
Thank you, President Thomas. Briefly, on February 15th, I traveled to Nashville with many of my colleagues across the state to the National Superintendents Conference as part of a national early learning superintendent cohort that I participate in. On day one, we toured Explore Community School, which has a unique focus on project-based learning at all grade levels. It was really interesting to see it in action, even at the kindergarten level. As legislative session concludes over the next week and a half, there remain a number of bills and items impacting education, the most important of which is the governor's proposed 6% increase to education. You've certainly heard from teachers tonight, and as we look at all of our employees, certainly a 6% increase will help us to become more competitive at a time when we have become increasingly less competitive, particularly with our classified positions. Finally, I am excited to share that we hope to break ground on the new South Middle School in the next few weeks. So stay tuned for a date to be communicated soon. Thank you.
All right, and moving on to other. I believe Jim has one.
Thank you, President Thomas. So the week of 17th, I had some family get-togethers that week, and we were invited to go to my little grandson's birthday down at Stumer Road Pizza Hut. And I walked in the door, and the first person I saw was Mr. Olson. And I'm purposely saying Mr. Olson's name because he's been a teacher of several of my older students many years ago at North. And I knew right away once I saw him what he was doing there, and it was a fundraiser for the school he was in. And he's down at Southwest now, and when I turned the corner, then I saw Mr. Johnson and Mr. Templeton. There was a female staff, and I do not know her name, but I will tell you they were busy monitoring the students. Those middle schoolers were bussing tables for tips. I was so impressed with the students that were there. I will tell you, I very seldom get caught off guard, and I was putting a cup down, engaged in a conversation with my daughter when this little young man, compared to me, said, "Sir, are you done? Can I have your cup?" Well, no, you can't have my cup. I'm not done yet. But the professionalism, the expectations of the staff, of Mr. Olson, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Templeton, and the female staff member, the way they handled themselves, they need an attaboy. I am telling you, I was so impressed with those students, and there was probably 15 to 20 of them there. They were running all over the place. And I do have a shout out for the Pizza Ranch for allowing different fundraisers. They do it a lot at both of them, plus several other businesses in town. But Mr. Olson, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Templeton, who I personally know, and the female staff, I don't think they had to really do a lot of work because those kids were extremely motivated. And if that tells you anything, our whatever generation that group will be called, we're in good hands because they did a fabulous job. And I just wanted to make sure that when the teachers listen to this and they pick the exact time at like 23 minutes after 6, that they know that I called them out in a good way. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
That is good news and a nice reflection of this district. Any others? Okay. We are moving into executive session then for SDCL 1-25-2.1 and SDCL 1-25-2.3, and there will be no further action after that. I need a motion.
So moved.
Jim? Deb? Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?